Good evening, everyone. It's Monday, December 8th. Welcome to the Radiant Mountain podcast. Here we are getting ready to play the fifth box in Empty Faces the Mountain by Hunt a Killer. We have a bunch of things to talk about before we get started. I can see there's 12 viewers here. They go down each time we play a continuing game, and I think we're seeing one of the drawbacks of trying to marathon all these games in the month of December is that we're doing streams on Monday evening. Not everyone can make it. That's just the price we're paying for trying to be archivists and get all these games played before they become unplayable completely. If you haven't watched the previous two sessions of this game, you shouldn't watch this one. It won't make any sense. Only a few of you have been able to stay awake with me for the entirety of this entire game live, but hopefully some of you were able to catch up. Let's check in with the chat, make sure we're actually broadcasting out into the world. We've got some of our regulars, including Garden Paths, otherwise known as Elaine Covington, who was so generous to send us this entire set of Hunt a Killer games that are being retired at the end of the month. Without Elaine, we would not be able to play these. All right, let me do a little bit of bookkeeping before we get started. I think Tuesday and Wednesday will take off, and then we will start on the third season of this Empty Faces series on Thursday. I think what we're going to try to do is finish off Empty Faces this weekend. So we'll meet Thursday, Friday, and Saturday to play through the 5 boxes of The Mine. Friday night will have to end by 2 a.m. That's when I understand my internet provider is doing some maintenance, but we have Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Even if we have to, we could go into Sunday, but I expect we will finish The Mine this weekend. This is part of a continuing series. I'm very curious to see what they do with The Mine. And then we'll be ahead of the curve. We will have officially finished 60% of these games before the halfway point in December, and then I think we've got smooth sailing to get finished the next 10 boxes of Earthbreak, the sci-fi series. I'm very curious about that as well. On Sunday afternoon, we are going to finally play the last part, the last solution letter to a Dear Holmes case that we last played over a month ago called Return of the Ripper. You've got plenty of time to catch up on that if you want to be here for the solution letter Sunday afternoon. I actually don't have the official letter, but I did find that they posted it on their blog. So we will be reading through that. Anything else to talk about before we get started? I did want to remind you of one thing. I am trying a new kind of system for recording more timely reviews of these mystery games. I don't know if it's going to work. I don't know. We're learning, we're experimenting. So what will happen is when we finish this final box tonight, as you know, we normally talk about the games together and just discuss our thoughts on the game at the end of these sessions. So what we're going to do slightly differently today is that when we come back from our final break to review the game, I'm first going to just talk to the camera for 5 minutes with a spoiler-free review of the experience as it's just finished. And then we'll have our normal discussion, and both of those, the spoiler-free part and the longer discussion with the channel, will be clipped out into a standalone review on the channel. Does it work? I assume that, well, my impression is that it's worse than doing a prepared review, but it's 10 times easier to do, and it means the reviews go up in a timely fashion. So the only question is it 10 times worse? We'll give it a try and see. All right. Are we ready to make our final journey into the Radiant Mountain cult? Quick recap, although we just played it last night, but some of you may not have sat through all of it. But just to remind you what's happened, we are making our way up the hierarchy of this cult. But something a little bit unusual happened with Box 4. We thought we were going to save this guy as a member of the cult. We've made it high enough in the hierarchy that we can find out that this cult is doing some child sacrifice. Is there a supernatural element? There sure seems like there is, but we haven't actually encountered anything really supernatural yet, although this is a continuation of the woods, which there was supernatural. But the really interesting thing is that it became clear maybe around Box 3 or so that this person that has recruited us into the cult for the purposes of, we thought, saving him and his family, actually is a true believer. He just wants to overthrow the current person who's the head of this cult. Raven Wagner, or Raven something. The Raven is the top person, person at the top of the hierarchy. This person who's brought us in, Charles Townsend, and his daughter Charlotte, are true believers, and they want to take over, it seems. And in Box 4, they sort of convinced us to take part in this ritual, and it's clear we have a role to play here. But I'm not sure whether we are going to be the sacrifice. I'm not sure whether this guy intends for us to be the sacrifice and be killed. It seems like he does. So I don't know what we're going to do here. I mean, we obviously have to play along for a bit, but I'm inclined to burn this whole place to the ground. But I don't know if we're going to get that choice. For a moment there, I thought we were going to be the person that was going to be elected the new Raven. And that's still possible. Like, there's talk of us we did this little divination thing, and it seemed like we had lots of, like, all the stars aligned for us. It almost feels like we are going to be the new head. So either we're going to be the head of this cult at the end, or they're going to try to kill us, but worse than kill us, hollow us out for this evil spirit to come in. I'm not really particularly keen on either of those two options. Anna says that the standalone review worked last time. It was 10 minutes, not 5 minutes. All right, well, we'll try it. In front of me, I have the two coolest props in this whole set. Two full books about the cult. The first one was sort of like for the initiates to look at, very peaceful and calm. And then the second one is the Dark Shadow Rituals that clearly involve some scary stuff. Are we ready to get into this box? Any further thoughts from the group before we start? Perhaps each former Raven is sacrificed for the new Raven. Yeah, Imano says, our goal now is to survive and not become a hollow vessel. I think that's right. Let's just not become this hollow vessel where this evil spirit takes over. But I would rather burn this whole cult to the ground. Although they are on a forest. We could start a forest fire. I don't really care about Charles and his family taking over from the Raven. I wouldn't mind if they want to get rid of this hollowing, but we answered this quiz of his, and he's like, well, blood sacrifice, you know, it's not, you don't need to, but it's good. So this guy is not like a good guy. All right, let's get to the fifth and final box. So we've got Elaine's offline, Elaine's preservation of the online content. So this game could be played afterwards. We've got and we've got a black envelope from the Mountain People instead of our normal white one. And let's see what's here. Whoa, that's creepy. Whoa, that's all creepy. Alright. What the heck is that? Oh. Looks like a... Is this like a Star Trek crystal cube of the person? Like, did they burn someone up and compact them? And look at this black thing. This is the gilded oak. It's all black. Oh my gosh. Thomas has risen. Okay. Let's start with the letter. And the daughter is involved. Yikes. Well, this answers the question of whether we were going to be elevated to Raven, because it looks like Charles wants to be Raven. Okay, so they've got a new logo. It's the logo of the dissidents. Embrace the new Twilight Age. Gulp. Dear kin, Welgrim is done. He lost himself a long time ago, and we have reclaimed him for the greater good. He was caught up in the exercise of his power, and he could not let it go. I could not let it go. Of course, Welgrim had his hangers on. Frederick, that poor man blinded by his own misplaced loyalties, for instance. He won't be a problem anymore. Remember when he suggested that you and I shouldn't be speaking directly? He's talking to us. This isn't like a broadcast to everyone. This is him, Thomas, writing to us. He says, hey, remember when he said we shouldn't be speaking directly? Well, it seems he couldn't see the global benefits to our arrangement. Look at us now. Look at you, speaking directly to the Raven. Unprecedented access, universal knowledge and understanding. That's my goal. You've helped me achieve it, and so you deserve to know what took so long for me to discover. See the writings we have held secret for so long. Oh, we're going to get an insight into the true nature of the Radiant Mountain at the highest levels. Read the story of our ancestors. Know your purpose, your destiny. Without your power, the ritual to weaken Welgrim would not have worked. You knew that was what you were doing, didn't you? You knew he was a terrible man with a terrible method. Yes, he deserved his end. As his influence faded, mine grew. As his connection to power became brittle and broken, mine was bolstered, my strength invigorated. There's a new phase of Radiant Mountain. Waning Welgrim, waxing Thompson. Now all that's left is to remove the few struggling heathens still clutching to the past like so many ticks, engorged and lazy, then roll out my new vision to the rest of the sanctuaries. I will begin with Abigail, and I will finish. They will not resist. Abigail's his wife. Looks like she doesn't believe in this overthrowing of the old Raven. They'll not resist. The power is spoken directly to me, and I recorded the message using an old technique from the Radiant Mountain archives. You can hear it. Feel the bliss of the divine messages. You will know it. My time has come. For all the time spent suffering, Welgrim, his inane and immature whims, bereft of the duty and focus demanded of a Raven by the great and terrifying power beyond. With him out of the way, my fingers can reach through the ley lines and the sister sanctuaries throughout the world. and all will know that Raven Daniel Thomas the First is the true herald of the new world to come, and all that was will be transformed, and this world reborn, and my enemies broken. Until they know the new truth, you may witness my ascension as a guest of honor in our storied pantheon. Witness the twilight age. What once was life will no longer be, and the twilight age will be communicated to the world. But you'll need a key. That all began with a lottery, a game of chance. And like all games, there is a winner. And like chance, sometimes the win carries more weight, more consequence than usual. And that's the key, isn't it? To hit the big one. The one that changes the course of a life. Only for that life to change the course of countless other lives. Jackpot. My duties will take me away from you for some time, I'm sorry to say. Do not be afraid, for I will not leave you alone, alone. I will not leave you. I am always watching. We are always connected. See me, I see you. Sincerely, Raven Daniel Thomas the First. Okay, well, that is pretty creepy. I don't know if he's got a code in here. It sounds like he's talking about a key, meaning an encryption key. So it's possible that the encryption key might be here, maybe a running cipher key, but this is very creepy. Okay, now, in addition to a letter from Thomas, we've got a letter from Charlotte. Remember, she's the photographer and the daughter of Thomas, and it looks like Thomas's wife, Abigail, is a heathen, a heretic, but not the daughter. The daughter is fully on board. My dear Radiant Mountain family, this is maybe her public letter to the whole group. My dear Radiant Family Mountain member, my dear Radiant Mountain family, we made it. We've welcomed in a new era of our faith. My dad and I are so grateful for all your help. Without you, without your belief in our cause, this glorious new twilight age would never have arrived. To show that we have all been made pure, take a token of ash into the water with you and wash yourself clean. The gleaming darkness will unfold you in its power and make you ready to receive the divine. I think she's talking about this. As the new Raven, my dad's attention is focused on the future. He understands what needs to be done to lead our family forward, without short-sighted rules and barriers to come between us. He'll never ask you to make the kinds of sacrifices we had to offer before. The old order has been burned away, and all its injustices have been extinguished. From now on, we'll serve the divine without divisions, without shame, without any obstacles to our righteous pursuit of the truth. I'm humbled that Raven Thomas the First, in his wisdom, has raised me up to serve as his right hand. I'm so honored by his trust in me. I hope I can live up to it. I promise to help our family embrace this time of change with a fearless spirit, and to always put our members first as the Radiant Mountain continues to grow and evolve. I am called to share Raven Thomas First's benediction far and wide. It's my duty to stoke the fire my father sparked, which will purify the Radiant Mountain like the sacred eternal fire of old. Like the acorn that fell from the gilded oak, his truth will spread from our sanctuary throughout the world, uniting all of us as one with the divine. I can't wait to meet our family in the Radiant Mountain's other sanctuaries in Washington and San Francisco and even further away, and to share the cleansing light of Raven Thomas the First's true word. I hope you will join me in this exalted journey, for this victory is as much yours as it is ours. Yours in faith, Charlotte Thomas. This isn't just a local cult. It seems like they've got sanctuaries and branches all over the world. Okay. Seems like she wants us to wash our hands in this ash. Let's put that aside for now. I think maybe we should start here with the Verediction, which we understand now is like a statement of the truth, a revelation of the truth. Now, this it's still possible that this guy is going to be like, no more blood sacrifices, just go for wellness and yoga. Or it's possible he's going to be like, let me reveal the truth here. Remember, this guy wants the truth spread to all the lowly members, not just kept only at the top. So he could also be saying, you know, there's this evil demon spirit and we all worship him. So let's see. This is a direct parallel to the first box and the first pamphlet. Okay, here's the Verediction of Thomas I with their new logo. Equality and unity. The newborn fawn is lost until it finds the guidance of the raven and the radiant mountain's teaching. As the fawn gains knowledge, it grows into the deer, our family's foundation. The swift sparrow heralds our mission to the world, and the diligent squirrel toils for our prosperity. The raven, kind and wise, leads us on the true path. All the children of the Radiant Mountain are on equal terms, and titles do not ordain our status or worth in the family. The raven leads us, but he will always heed his family's troubles. The deer, sparrow, and squirrel are all vital to the family's continued growth. And so no one member stands above another. Although we serve different purposes, we all journey along the same true path and will reach the same shining peak together as one. Okay, so that's his major change to the cult. He's trying to make a more level playing field. Okay, so far, not too scary. Did she say no more sacrifices? I'm not sure she did. Distribution of knowledge. All children of the Radiant Mountain may avail themselves to every sacred text, including the veridical Codex Lux et Umbra in its original form. Knowledge exists to be freely shared, and no member of our family is denied the right to advance their understanding of the divine power. Opening our minds and hearts to the uncorrupted truth allows the Radiant Mountain to flourish. So the secret book of the cult, of all their dark rituals, is now available to even the initiates, even the deer. We are all perfect vessels, none more worthy than the rest. A perfect vessel exists to serve the divine power. This is where I'm worried. Like, they still want to serve and get hollowed out. We must offer up our souls to be hallowed and imbued with truth. Each member of our family shall serve in a way that best suits their potential. Some shall recruit new brethren to help our family grow. Some shall lead rituals and meditations. Some shall occupy the celestial amplifiers. Some shall maintain and preserve our sanctuary. All shall live for the coming of the great singularity, as all become one and reach true enlightenment. There's the red flags right there. The coming of the great singularity, and everyone should get hollowed out. Here they are at the mountaintop. Exaltation of family. Exalt all those around you, for they are your companions on the long journey. Exalt all who forsake you, for in time they too will be joined as one. And exalt without predilection, for all are beheld by the eyes of the divine power. Reverence of self. Revere your heart, for it holds within it the essence of all creation. Revere your body, for it contains the strength to serve the divine without ceasing. Revere your soul, for it exists to be hallowed, filled with truth. Here's his final words here. I, Raven Thomas I, do here attest the truth that you shall no longer suffer nor be led astray. The radiant mountain has been cleansed and given new life, and upon its peak rests a beacon of hope. Trust in me, and I will show you the true path, void of pain and prejudice. Our goal remains ever the same, to reach true enlightenment. Join us in our glorious ascension and embrace the new twilight age. The Radiant Mountain. The Radiant Mountain and all its children fear not the pursuit of truth, nor for our purpose is pure and resolute. The Radiant Mountain and all its children fear not the quest for knowledge, for the path has been cleared of peril and strife. The Radiant Mountain and all its children fear not the life in thrall, for our souls exist to serve the divine power. Embrace the twilight age. Embrace the twilight age. All right. What else do we have here? We have the pen. We have this scary picture. That could be Thomas. I think that is Thomas. We have this red wire thing. I don't know what that's about. We have some printouts, and we have what looks like a big map. Whoa, that's interesting. And then we have some Veridical Codex Umbra thing. So not many physical items today, but let's take a look at this map. Wow, it's huge. Okay. Embrace the new twilight age. Sacred dwellings of the Radiant Mountain. So we have a map of the world. There is a legend here. See if we can zoom in on it. So these are all the sanctuaries around the world of the Radiant Mountain. Sanctuary, stronghold of the ancient tree, stronghold of the channel, sanctuary of the scorpion. So it's sanctuaries, but it's other stuff. Fortress in the corridors of worldly power. Fortress of the forward land. Fortress of the rock. Dwelling. So there's a whole bunch of sanctuaries, and then there's some fortresses and some strongholds. So in addition to the world map, and it looks like they've got sanctuaries and stuff everywhere, there's some weird symbols, some weird drawings here and here and here. And there's something else, like I can feel that these things are textured. And it kind of looks like that glow in the dark, black white stuff. So if I run the black light, you can see it's sort of glowing, right? So if I turn off everything, you can see that everything is sort of glowing. Even turn off this other light. Now you can see it's cool. I can, in person, looking at it. So what's interesting is that what's glowing is the drawings. So we can see it sort of shooting from here into this point. It feels like this is the key point that everything is shooting towards. So what is at this point? It's Z, not Z, it's a 7. Radiant Mountain Sanctuary. Okay, so the Radiant Mountain Sanctuary where we are is the central point that seems to be focused in on by this thing and by this thing, whatever this is. And these lines are going through other sort of sanctuaries, like this line is going through this, or strongholds. And that's where we are, right at the center. And right near us is 9. What is 9? Fortress in the corridors of worldly power. You know what? I think that might be Washington. Do you think, those of you who know geography, I know we're in West Virginia, and this 7 is our sanctuary. Is 9, which is on our legend as Fortress in the Corridors of Worldly Power, is that Washington, D.C.? I think 9 might be Washington, D.C. And Anna says, looks like that conspiracy video might have been right, that they're a huge organization capable of doing stuff. What are we going to do? Even if we destroy the mountain, it won't make much of a difference, although we can escape at least. Garden Path says no backlight was included with the game, so it isn't required to solve anything. Yeah, it doesn't look like there's anything to solve here. It's just a very cool experience to look at it. I'm beginning to wonder if Cthulhu is behind all this. This didn't come with a black light, did it? Oh, that's what Elaine is answering. Okay. So I'm not sure. Well, I don't know if this is going to be used for anything, but boy, is that creepy. And it is a huge conspiracy of places. So, yeah, we're up against it here. I think this is going to be Thomas, the new Raven. I think we saw a picture of Thomas. What we saw was we saw the child sacrifice video, and when they called out the kid, this guy was very concerned. So I think this is that kid's father. Let's take a look at this. Experiment memo. Name Edison Radiant Mountain Squirrel. So this might be Thomas Edison's report. Look at the date there. I think we're led to believe that Thomas Edison, the famous inventor, filed a report with the Radiant Mountain. We know he was a member, we believe. It says, researcher Bell has claimed no ill will toward the reformalizing of his machine, aptly named Writer of Voices. The first tin sheets created fantastic waves of light and heat energy. The rotating cylinder seemed to consume all bound within the lab. Second and third tests conducted in soundproofed room near the tree. Though mortal sounds were not present, the writer of voices registered vibrations that can only be considered otherworldly. Trials suggest close proximity to tree results in better stylus response to divine vibrations. Writer of voices is key to unlocking divine's true message. Assistant recommends use of Le Chiffre Indecipherable. Researcher note. And then we have an encrypted note here. So he's talking about recording with the first recording device. And now we're told that there's a little bit of history behind it, recording some supernatural voices from the tree. And we probably want to look up Le Chiffre Indecipherable. I don't know what that is, but is key. So probably writer of voices, I would guess, is the key, a running cipher key to decrypt this. But yeah, they're talking about the invention of the record player that can record things. Radiant Mountain Archives, archive entry 4487, document number. Okay, here's another one. From another squirrel. Used Volta laboratory improvements to push through static membrane of other plane. Cylinders could only gain so much momentum before energy output was of loss. Wax coating prevented complete absorption. Zigzag groove represented partial true shape of divine. Cylinder changed to flat discus for more efficient output. Must continue working on equalization issue between Terra and other plane. Spiral groove ruin closer to shape of providence. Contact with other plane is key to realizing true potential. And then we have an encrypted note. These are all people with the history of studying energy and electricity, and now we're being told that they were critical in the early days of this cult to communicating with some other plane of existence. Experimental memo. Berliner, Radiant Mountain Squirrel, 1906 or so. The sound machine, previously known as writer of voices, is most efficient in its simplest form. I call it voice strip, or bringer of messages. Wax seal pieces attached to other objects in each trial. Is it using? I guess I'm not there. That's a little clearer. Oops, now it's gone here. For whatever reason, this detail camera, maybe, let me just see something here. Just go in manually. In each voice strip, or bringer of messages, wax seal pieces attached to other objects in each trial run brought us closer to desired outcome. First trial with strip adhered to inside of a paper cup through a hole at the bottom. Sounds recognizable to the human ear. When pinched too hard, I destroyed wax grooves and had to start over. Light grazing of the grooves with thumbnail is preferable. Strip attached to rubber balloon. I think they're talking about this. I think they might be talking. That's creepy. There are little grooves on this. Can you see? I think they're talking about making a sound recording onto this strip. Holy cow. So wax grooves had to start over. Light grazing of the grooves with thumbnail is preferable. Strip attached to rubber balloon made by way of HE or COS. Exhalations produced clear vibrations well within the frequency range detectable by the human ear. This was to be my final result and be marked as a success, but I felt something inside me stirring. I felt the emptiness I so longed for and had a spark of inspiration. Desire to consume filled every corner of my thoughts, and my mind's eyes saw the divine. I placed the voice strip in my mouth and secured between my front teeth. I then ran my thumbnail across the groove and felt the vibrations travel through my very bones. And behold, the divine's voice rang true. I wept, for I'd never before felt such overwhelming happiness. Wow, that is creepy. So I think this weird plastic recording is a recording that Thomas Edison made in the 1800s of some voices from another world, another realm. And it was saying ways to hear it. You could run your thumb against it. It was saying to really hear it, you put it in your mouth and your teeth, and it resonates through your jaw, which is very creepy. Although it is sort of a real thing. If you have a slinky, a metal slinky, and you hold it in your mouth and drop it, you hear crazy things. I don't know if you know about that. All right. That is very scary. We're going to have to do that at some point. I don't know how I'm going to communicate that. Here is our last physical item, other than the meditation. What I presume is a meditation. So what is this now? So we see deer, raven. I don't see a squirrel here. But let's see what this is. So it says Veridical Codex Umbra fragment. Oh, he did say there's the true Radiant Mountain Umbra. So if we look at this, I seem to remember that this is a second edition. Am I remembering correctly? Maybe that was just the Lux, the Codex Lux. Here, look. It says, copyright Radiant Mountain, January 1989, 6th edition. So I wonder if we're being led to believe that this is how it was originally passed down into the cult. pen and ink illustration circa 1893 of a slab of stone bearing a relief carving. The original stone has since been lost, but was attested at the time of its discovery as being quite ancient. Ancient even in 1893. Style of figures depicted does not match any known period of either Native American or European art. Identified by Raven Welgram I as a fragment of the original veridical Codex Umbra, believed to depict a prophecy of the twilight age of the Radiant Mountain, in which the raven is remade in a new form, and the gleaming darkness will reign supreme over all things. Whoa. Look at how weird this is, with weird symbols. And look at what it's saying, that the ancient original stone tablet was ancient when it was discovered and comes from some style of art never seen before. And it says that it's talking about a prophecy when the raven is remade and the darkness will reign supreme over everything. I don't like the sound of that. Main Archive, Vault A, Shelf 12, Box 747. Raven Welgram, the previous Raven, recorded this. Administrative history. Illustration by Raven Welgram of a stone fragment discovered beneath the foundations of the original Radiant Mountain Sanctuary site, which were excavated before reconstruction of the sanctuary in 1893. Could this be a tie-in to the mine? When we play the mine, are we going to discover ancient stone carvings? Boy, that's creepy. All right, let's look at this. We've got more. I'm going to take this off because we've got more of the glow in the dark backlight texture. Look at that. Now there are some letters that are not lit and some letters that are. I wonder if we have to care about that. Probably not. Weird. Oh, that's the hole where the pen was. Y-R-E-O-U-O-U. Doesn't look like there's any significance to those letters. Okay, let's read this. This is creepy. Revive. Doesn't say here. It says revive your lamp and you revive your you. Revive your, it looks like it says L-A-T-H. Not quite though. L-E. Well, this gives us a link to our final meditation. It's the Twilight meditation for a guided meditation specifically designed for your level of divine progress. Embrace the new twilight age. I wish I could read what this said, though. Doesn't help to do this, does it? Not really. Revive your earth, revive your faith. I think it might say revive your faith. I think it might say revive your faith and you revive your soul, if I had to guess what it means, although I can't see the word soul, but I'm guessing that that says revive your faith and you revive your soul. All right, why don't we take a break and come back and then listen to this meditation, and then perhaps we'll try to decode a couple of the codes that we've discovered here, which may open up another website. Look at this. How would you like you walking down the street and you see this on someone's lapel? Okay, so I said we're going to come back and listen to the meditation, but Elaine says, I don't think you read all of the inventory memos. Are there more on the back of the page? You should save the meditation for the very end. Okay, we'll save the meditation for the very end, but Elaine says that we haven't read all these because there are some on the back. Well, there are some on the back. Okay, we're not going to take a break yet. We're going to keep going and read these. Experiment Memo, Farnsworth, Radiant Mountain Sparrow, Special Privileges Division, October 5th, 1929. And it says B34 parameters. I'm not sure what that means. Okay, I guess we're going to have to do our thing again. Marconi joined. So these are more people in the foundation of history of electricity, energy, etc. So here's Marconi. My voice of light machine has taken off in leaps and bounds. Others have improved upon what I was too limited to imagine. I did not even realize humans could dream in color, but there it is, a whole room full of color machines projecting images of light and sound, projecting information. What a marvel of divine influence. Talking about maybe color TV? I guess it's not the invention of color TV in 1971. I started my first set of trials in this particular series upon a group of chosen vessels. I wanted to see the difference between those chosen and those merely in meditative states. Vessels sufficiently hollowed receive the divine within them 20% faster than those who have yet to be emptied. The results were encouraging, however. The real victory came with testing sparrows in meditation. I put them in a room filled with my color-improved machines, the images, the sounds, the vibrations. Everything worked together to create living obedience, even out of those whose nature was wholeheartedly defiant. I have done the divine's good work. I can happily die tomorrow knowing that I have secured humanity's future. The key to our success is onward and upward is italics. Research note. Talking about like making humans follow instructions, create living obedience by broadcasting TV to them or something. Oh, I see. I jumped down. That was this is the last entry on the page, but I skipped the top entry, which was the 1929 entry. Marconi joined in observation of experiment 5677 as a result of overlapping technologies. It's my impression that much can be learned from the past, and Marconi's electromagnetic waves have been instrumental in the exponential growth of my machine of moving images. Because of the combination of waves of energy and images made of light, I have opted to name my creation the Voice of Light, which may be talking about television, color television. Since I was a boy, I have dreamed of these unimaginable things, but knowing they were closer to me than I had realized, after years of tinkering, Voice of Light has finally proved its worth. Not only can the divine speak to us through phonographs and radio waves, it can now send us images as well. Now, how wonderful will it be to see a moving picture of the divine's own creation? Misinterpretation of the sacred text will be a thing of the past. Research note, and then encrypted. So, this is so creepy that they're talking about this otherworldly realm communicating to them first through phonographs and listening to what gets recorded on the old wax cylinders and on this. And then as the years go by, they've created color television, and then it's all a way for this other world to communicate to us. That is very, very, very creepy. All right, let's take our break. We'll come back. We'll decide what to do next. Okay, we're back. So Elaine has advised us not to listen to the meditation until the final thing. That's the final thing we should do. So we've got two things we could do, which might be the same thing. With our physical items, we basically have encrypted messages, three 2 or 3 things. First of all, we have encrypted messages at the bottom of each of these. They might all use the same key, they might not. We've got mention in the letter of something that looks like a key. You'll need a key. He said, what once was life will no longer be, and the twilight age will be communicated to the world, but you'll need a key. This all began with a lottery, a game of chance. Like all games, there is a winner. And like chance, sometimes the win carries more weight, consequence. And he says, that's the key, isn't it? To hit the big one. So it's possible that we've got a key here, and that key is used here, or there's another mention of key here. So we're not sure, but we don't have anything to use this key on, assuming it is alluding to the use of a key. So if I had to guess, I'd guess we have a running cipher, and this is the key, and it is to be used to decode these. Let me just look at these messages that are encrypted. Now, if you were wondering whether they were Caesar cipher shifted or running key encrypted, what you would look for is frequencies. Like you would expect certain letters to come up much more often if it was like a Caesar cipher, because the most common letter E would always turn into one thing. When I look at this text, I really don't see, nothing jumps out at me as being a more common letter. That suggests a running cipher key to me. Although it may just be that I'm not picking up frequencies. So I think maybe what we'll try, and whether they all use the same one, I think we'll try with this one. Was this the first one? No, here, this was the first one we read, because he says, writer of voices is key to unlocking the divine's true message. So it's either that this is the key, or that this is the key here. Before I get started on that, Anna says, Perry says, was the whole Empty Faces subscription a year-long enterprise? Dorp says, I say we meditate until these natural, nasty thoughts of leaving go away. Have we read all the locked messages on the website? I believe that we have, read all the messages that we know how to decrypt, and I believe what we've got is that the designers of this game did something very poorly thought out, which is that I don't think these other locked messages are actually openable by us. I think this was, well, we'll talk about this when we review it. I think these aren't unlockable, or they're not unlockable by us in the game. Like if you click on this, it just asks for a password. So I don't think there's a way for us to, I'm not sure these are real, but I don't think we're meant to be able to get to these. I think these are just to disguise the fact that this one we that this first one gives us a link that we can. But I don't think the rest of them we actually can get into, which to me is a really poor decision. Why? It looks like it has expired out this entire page. Okay, I don't think we actually can get into the admin forum. I don't think we can actually get into these posts. Although maybe when we play the mine, but I think that answers your question. We have no sign that we know how to do that. Okay, let's try to decrypt one of these messages. So how are we going to do that? The way we're going to do that is I'm going to go to a running key cipher page. And I'm going to type in this text for this first one. Which is HAHX NWTCU LOL teen YZIG AHW JWZ WAQS. Remember, with a running cipher, if you drop a letter or something, you break everything. ELHA LBV LTLY S HUI NWZ RR FS EZ EES ZPR RGNZ. Good. Okay, I'm going to copy that. Okay, let's make sure that that is right. I'm going to try to rotate this. Let's see if it breaks. No, it didn't. Okay, let's just make sure I've got that right. HAHX. A little hard to see, huh? HAHX. We really just care about the beginning. TW NWTCU LOL teen Yazig. Looks like I got an error here. That should be a Y. Yazig AHW. We only care about the beginning because that's when we'll see if we're on the right track. And if we are on the right track in the beginning, we'll know to continue. Now, another way you might look at this and see whether this is a Caesar cipher or a running key cipher might be to look for single letter words, like here. So you might guess that this was something like I am or a something, but probably starting a new sentence, M is going to be the I. So if you thought it might be a Caesar cipher, you could turn M into I and then try to decode the rest. And you might guess that you would see I am. But even if you couldn't, so O goes to K and F goes to B, that doesn't make sense. But even if you weren't sure if this was an I or an A, there are only a couple things that the single letter word can be. And you might look to see if there are different ways that a single letter is encrypted. Unfortunately, we don't have any others. Okay. All right, so we're going to try a running cipher key on this now. So one possible is that this is exactly literally what it says. Other plane is key. So let's try, I don't think this is right, but if we tried using the key other plane, can we decrypt it? Oh, that is the answer. That which has many names has shown me the future. There will be one who rebels and opens us. Okay, well, that's creepy. That which has many names has shown me the future. There will be one who rebels and opens us. All right, now, the question is, so we did figure that out. I guess we'll maybe screenshot that in case we need it. Now, the question is, are they all using that key? So I thought I was doing the first one, which is other plane is the key, but actually the first one is here. And here he says writer of voices is key. So I guess each of these might use a different key. What about this one? I guess it's the one, voice strip is going to be the key for this. Other plane was the key to this. Writer of voices is the key to this. Let's just see if these all have something similar. Yes, okay. So the key to this code is going to be voice of light. And then what is the key for this last one that doesn't have a... It's either upward. I guess we care because we care if one of them uses this key that this guy was writing about. All right, well, I'm inclined to just look these up rather than try to type them all in. So we did this one, but we didn't do this first one. But let's not do them all manually just because it's just typing, yeah? So if we go to our... Okay, so we've lost... Oh, there it is, members, empty faces. So we're going to go in here and we're going to get the recap for box 5. Okay. What's happened? Why has it not changed to box 5? Box 5. Is there no box? Oh, here. Oh, see, that was it. It's just taking time to load. Okay. So box 5 password THMS 4382. Doesn't like that. Why doesn't it like that? THMS 4382. Okay, fine. All right, so what do we want? We want the experiment memos. Okay. Researchers' notes appear to be written nonsensically at first glance. Read the experiment memo carefully for a clue on how to decipher them. Taking the assistant's advice may be beneficial. Where did we see the... I mean, I think we know how to decode these, so I'm not worried about taking the assistant's advice, but I do want to remind myself, what about, where did the assistant have advice? I don't remember where we got the assistant's advice from, but it doesn't matter because we understand the idea here. So I'm going to go to experiment memo reveal 1. At the end of the first log, the experiment memo reads, the assistant recommends use of shift indecipherable. Yes, I remember that. Searching for that reveals that this is another name for the Vingari cipher. The cipher uses a grid format to encode phases. However, the user needs a key. Using the first letter from the key and the first letter from the coded message, the puzzle can be deciphered. The key for each phrase can be found in the logs. This is just another term for a running cipher, I believe. And now we're going to get the answers here. Okay, so the key is writer of voices. I have heard the voice of truth. We are so close. And then this is the second one, is the one we did hand decode. That which has many names has shown me the future. There will be one who rebels and opens us. Okay, so we read that. Now here are the 3 we haven't yet decoded. The divine speaks through me. I am chosen. And then the next experiment decodes to Robinson was in close proximity to the main amplifier in its early stages and suffered fatal injury. Then the last one says the amplifiers are almost complete. Subjects connected as batteries are now dead. Continue to phase 2. That is very creepy, but doesn't feel like it means anything to us. And note that we haven't used Daniel's message, Daniel's key, if indeed he was alluding to a key of an encryption. All right. The other thing we haven't done is listen to. So we haven't done Daniel's key, and we haven't tried to listen to this crazy strip by putting it in our mouth and having it resonate. So let's try to do that. We also have the ash to wash our hands if we wanted to. So let us, those of you who have watched me on this channel know that I have done some questionable things in terms of hygiene, but I am going to clean these with alcohol, at least the part that I might put in my mouth. Okay. All right. Now, I have told you to, at home, if you have a Slinky or if you ever buy a Slinky, you want to show your kids something cool, hold the Slinky in your teeth and drop it. And we're going to try to do something similar here. Now, I've never seen this work done before. Looking at it, it just looks like it's got a regular pattern on it. But if this actually works, we expect that there's encoded some sound, some voice here. Of course, we don't know the speed to play it at, so we're just going to have to experiment. I wouldn't be surprised if I can't figure out what it's saying and we have to go to the website, but we'll reproduce the experiment. Now, one of the things that we've talked about is the idea that this may have been retired much earlier than others, and maybe it's because they couldn't source this one item, but just feels like you could just do it on the web, have a thing, but surely we're going to find a transcript for this. All right, so before I actually do this, where did we see the instruction for this? Why am I forgetting where we saw? Was it one of these that said to do this? Yes, it was this one. Let's just read this again, make sure I'm interpreting it correctly. The sound machine, writer of voices, is most efficient in its simplest form. I call it a voice strip. We think this is what they're talking about. Or bringer of messages. Wax seal pieces attached to other objects in each trial brought us closer to desired outcome. First trial strip adhered to inside of a paper cup with a hole at the bottom. You could recognize sounds to the human ear. When pinched too hard, it destroyed the wax grooves. Had to start over. Light grazing of the grooves with a thumbnail. Strip attached to rubber balloon made by way of maybe helium is what it says. Made by way of, I don't think it matters, but what does it actually say there? Made by way of he or ghosts. Maybe it's a helium carbon dioxide exhalation. Helium of carbon dioxide produce clearer vibrations. So one way you could somehow listen to this is you attach it to a rubber balloon, well within the frequency range detectable. Okay, but then he says, I felt something inside me stirring. I felt emptiness, so I so longed for. I had a spark of inspiration to consume, filled every corner of my thoughts, and my mind's eye saw the divine. I placed the voice strip in my mouth, secured between my front teeth, and ran my fingernail across the grooves. Okay, and of course there's two directions I could put it in, so I'm not sure which one. I'm going to try this one. Here we go. Elaine says the voice strip didn't work for me, so I went to recaps. Okay, well, let's try it. Okay, it's very creepy. I can hear something, but I can't make out what it's saying, and I don't know what speed to go. Let me try it on this side. Oh, it just broke. That's unfortunate. It's a little delicate. I can't really tell what it's saying. It sounds like that voice that we heard on the audio, and just about as clear. If I had to guess, I would guess he's saying something like hollow, hollowed, or hollow yourself. Try to listen to it again. It can't be more than a very short phrase. So whatever it is that happens when you put something on your teeth vibrate and you can hear it in your eardrums. So even just a small, I guess that's why, like, even when you're eating in a movie theater, it sounds loud when you're chewing the popcorn. If you tap on your teeth, you can hear it. All right, but I couldn't really hear it. And it would help if it told me what direction. Okay, well, let's go to the website and hear what I hear. Maybe it's a good thing that I can't understand it. That might mean that we're not going to be in contact with this monster. Oh, yeah, you can absolutely hear something. It kind of sounds like... I could probably... Like, let me see if I can... You're not going to hear what I would hear, but I wonder if I, like, touched it to this, whether you might hear something. Let's try it this way. Try to give you some feeling for what you hear. And of course, you'd want to do this try to do this at a steady speed. Maybe I'll go slow. Do you hear anything? That's one way. Let me do it the other direction, see if you can hear anything. All right, did you hear anything? Could you make it out? And it says spooky. Jonathan Warner says kind of. Maybe before we look it up, we should cleanse our hands according to what that woman told us. A big. You think it said a big? So she told us to wash our hands with the ash to cleanse ourselves or something like that. I'm assuming that's what she meant to do. At least symbolically. I mean, this could be the ash of a human for all we know. So I don't know how good I feel about this. This looks very creepy. But this is like the symbolic cleansing of the hands that you see in some religions. But this is like cleansing of your hands in evil water. All right, let's try not to spill this one. And let's let's unclean my hands with alcohol after being in that stuff, which could, for all we know, be the ashes of a human that got burned Could be the ashes of the old raven. Looks like dried blood. It looks horrible, but okay. We're in for a penny, in for a pound here. The coffee will cleanse me. All right, let's go to the website, see what it should what it should have said. The item can be, the voice strip hint is the item can be used in conjunction with another document in this episode. When used properly, it reveals an eerie message. Okay, and here's the reveal. The experiment memo explains how to use the voice strip. Hold the end of the strip carefully between the front teeth. Run a thumb or fingernail down the ridges in the strip. The voice of the divine will become clear. The message recorded in the voice strip says, "I'll be seeing you." I'll be seeing you. Yeah, maybe. I mean, we could try. I don't want to put it in my... Oh, well, I did. I know. I cleansed my hands. But, okay. Yeah, maybe. Okay. So we've done the voice strip. We've done the experimental memo. The meditation card should just send us to the meditation. So the one thing we haven't done here is the letter from Daniel and the letter from Charlotte. Charlotte's letter I don't think has any secrets to it. But before we read, we certainly are going to read it. And we also have the map. I think maybe the map... I wonder, well, let's take a look at these things before we jump to read stuff. Let's consider. We've got the letter from Charlotte, the letter from Daniel, and the map. Let's start with the one from Charlotte, which I didn't see having any hidden information in it. But let's look at it. Okay, everything looks normal here. Does she have any text that looks like it could be a code or a URL, etc.? She says, "We made it. The darkness will enfold you. The new Raven, my dad's attention is focused on the future. He knows what needs to be done. He'll never let arbitrary rules. The old order is burned away. We'll serve the divine. I'm humbled that I'm serving as his right-hand man. I'm honored by his trust. I'm called to share his verediction. It's my duty to stoke the fire, which will purify me. Like the acorn that fell from the gilded oak, his truth will spread. I can't wait to meet our family in the Radiant Mountains. Other sanctuaries. This is what we have on the map. In Washington and San Francisco and further away. And to share the cleansing light of Raven Thomas's true word. Hope you'll join me. Okay, I didn't see anything hidden information here, except she's mentioning Washington and San Francisco, which are on our map. You could imagine there might be some secret code here. We're looking for text that looks out of place, that looks like it's awkward enough to be a code. I don't think we saw any of that in here. But maybe we did. Let's glance through it again carefully. Oddly formatted text, odd capitals, anything that would jump out and suggest to us that it might be hiding information. So I do notice this true is capitalized oddly. The one is capitalized oddly. The amount of force, the one uncorrupted true. Codex Umbra in its original form. That was that sketch I think we saw. No memory of our family. Perfect vessel. Celestial amplifiers. Some shall occupy the celestial amplifiers. Remember, the experiment said people died in there. We haven't heard of the celestial amplifiers in other places, have we? It wasn't in the Codex Umbra, was it? Was it in the Veridical Codex Lux? Any talk about the amplifiers becoming a vessel? Not really. One ear is capitalized again about things to exalt. These all look as reasonable as anything else. We do have this weird, like, what is the purpose of that? It's almost like it's either just a stylistic thing or it's some key. Doesn't quite work as a key though, because some letters map to themselves, some letters map to two different things. Like here, an A maps to a B and A maps to I. So I don't think that's a code. So what we're left with is the map and the letter from Daniel. As far as the map, we looked at it, we saw that it seems to all focus in on the mountain where we are, and we know 9 is going to be Washington, D.C., I think. She mentioned San Francisco, which is going to be over here, I guess, in California, one of these. But I suppose you could think that there might be a key here. Well, a secret message here somehow. Like if you looked at the letters here, tower, ancient, channel, ST. Don't really see it though. Fortress of the Ford Land. Like you could try to see where these places are. Perhaps if there was some puzzle that asked us like, what is the Sanctuary of the White Bear? I wonder if the stronghold of the ancient tree might be the woods. No, because we know that we are here where everything is focused. I don't know what the point of all these other places are, though. Is it possible? Okay, so I don't know what else to do with the map, but let's see here. Let's see the part about what he says about key, and if we can think about how we would use this. So I have one thought, but let's see. He says, where does he talk about the key? I mean, there might not be anything else, but he says, my time has come. My fingers reach through the ley lines and the sister. He says, so this seems to be referring a little bit to the map. My fingers can reach through the ley lines and the sister sanctuaries throughout the world, and all will know that Raven Thomas I is the true herald. And then he says, the Twilight Lit Age will be communicated to the world, but you'll need a key. You'll need a key. This began with a lottery, a game of chance. Like all games, there is a winner. And like chance, sometimes the win carries more weight, more consequence than usual. And that's the key, isn't it? To hit the big one, the one that changes the course of a life, only for that life to change the course of countless other lives. Jackpot. That's very, very odd sentence, paragraph. You will need a key. It began with a lottery, a game of chance, and like all games, there is a winner. Like chance, sometimes the win carries more weight, more consequence than usual. That's the key, isn't it? So if it's a running key, cipher key, the key could be an entire paragraph or sentence of text. But he also talks about the ley lines through the sister sanctuaries. You certainly could draw a line between the sister sanctuaries, right? You could plot them all here and ask, and then draw a connection between them. I'm just not sure what that would do for us, though. Like, we could plot every sister sanctuary, and we might get some shape, but what would we... Are these the ley lines? I also see something else that's occurred to me. These lines are cutting through letters. I wonder if it might not be, like, it is a little odd that they're cutting through these letters. I wonder if it's possible that what we're looking at is like PR, and then here we have ICWEETCAAG. Whether this means something, and whether maybe the order of these is the order of the sanctuaries. 12 is the sanctuary of Smoke Falls. So this line gives us TR. I'm just going to write this out for fun, just because there's not much left for us to do here. So passing through 12, sanctuary, sister sanctuary 12 gives us T and R. The next set comes from this line here, which looks like it passes through 10, which is a sanctuary of towers. And that gives us TC. The problem is there's too many combinations. Like, first do we do this and then we do a key to it? This one is passing through 11, which gives us WE. Is 11 a sanctuary? No, 11 is a fortress. 11 is a fortress, but it passes through 4, which is a sanctuary. So actually, I think this is probably closer to sanctuary 4, gives us the WE. And then it looks like maybe sanctuary, no, 9 is a world power. This one doesn't even seem to pass through a sister sanctuary. So I do feel like this might be barking up the wrong tree now. TE, maybe it's this line here. Maybe this is 7 ET. Then this one looks like it's passing through 17 and 15, like 17. This one is C-A-G. So, well, there's one here too. This one seems to pass through the S, the H, and the E. S-H-E. That's passing through 12. I see. Actually, that's interesting. This one is S-H-E and then goes all the way up here to T and the R. Any other crosses? No. So you could imagine that this unpacks to something, or it's just a schizophrenic, crazy idea. I don't even know if the order of these letters are correct, like R-T-T-R. I don't know if we should be... It feels like this one... This is L. L and then C. Then W-E. E-T. C-A-A-G. And then S-H-E. I mean, this isn't a word. This is not part of a word. But I wonder if it's so convoluted that it could be wanting us to apply a key to it, because you could also imagine that we're just being, that this is something different and really we should be trying to index a key into here. You could imagine that these 1 through 22 would be letters, A through the 22nd letter, and that we should be doing something with that. But more importantly, it feels like this message should give the key. Okay, Elaine, you don't have to give us more hints. Don't give us hints. Let's read the part about the key here. It says, to understand the message, you'll need a key. This all begins with a lottery, game of chance. And like all games, there's a winner. And like chance, sometimes the win carries more weight, more consequence than usual. That's the key, isn't it? To hit the big one, the one that changes the course of a life, only for that life to change the course of countless other lives. Jackpot. I mean, we noticed in the brochure a weird mention of 1, but it does feel like there are too many possibilities here. So what should we do? Should we just go read the solution? Does anyone have any? A lottery is a series of numbers. Lines on the map are key lines connected in particular order to get a series of numerical locations. You don't need to be spending time on the map. It's a concept that will be explained more fully. Okay, but don't give us hints. Yeah. the thing is, even if we figured out a key from this, I don't think we know what to apply it to. Unless he's saying, like, you could imagine that it's like, that's the key. And then you could imagine that the thing that follows, we take the first letters, T, H, T, B, O, T, O, T, C, T, C, and then decrypt it with the key. But I don't think we have a chance of guessing that. So I think we're going to go to the... web page. Let's go to the web page and at least get a clue, because that's how we've agreed we're going to play this game. Okay, letter from Charlotte. We didn't see anything in there, so let's see if this says anything. This document can be used to reference another item in the box. Can it? And then Daniel, toward the end of the letter, he alludes to a key that's needed. Look for any irregularities near the end of the document. Yeah, I mean, we saw his sentence, but I don't know irregularities. Well, actually, we did see some irregularities, didn't we? Repeated words. He says this thing about the key, and then he says, my duties will take me away from you for some time. I'm sorry to say. Do not be afraid, for I will not leave you alone. Alone, alone. I will not leave you. I'm always watching. We are always connected. See me, I see you. So this part here about alone, alone, alone. You could imagine, because when you have a key, you can make any text like say whatever you want it to say. You will need a key. So you could imagine that this sentence is the key. This all began with a lottery game of chance. No, that can be a key, but you couldn't get lucky enough to have this key make this make sense. But it seems to be hinting about alone, but I'm not sure what we would do with that. See me, I see you. Yeah, I don't think so. All right, I think we're going to need to start revealing the letter from Daniel. One line of the letter from Daniel reads, what once was life will no longer be, and the twilight age will be communicated to the world. This is a reference to the Radiant Mountain website. What once was life? Is there a period there? Uh-huh. So what we didn't notice, probably because of my bad eyes, is that, look, we should have spotted this. We should have spotted this. If we had noticed that this said what once was dot life, I think we would have guessed something. What once was dot life will no longer be, and the twilight age will be dot communicated. Okay, that is enough to give us some idea of what to do. So let's go to Radiant Mountain Life website. And if we just change it to COM, do we get a website, or do we need to add a page to that? Uh-huh. Interesting. And now we need a key. He says to get in here, you need a key. So what is the key going to be? Is it going to be the word jackpot? Alone, alone, alone. Alone, alone, alone. All right, let's try a couple of things here. First, let's try jackpot. No. And let me just make sure I typed it in right. Jackpot. Okay, it's not jackpot. Okay, could it be alone? No. Could it be lottery? No. Interesting. Thoughts from the chat? Haruhiko P says, I've been watching your videos. Just want to drop in and say I like your content. Thank you. Okay, so we've figured out with a little bit of help that there's a new web page. And then it says, what once was life will no longer be, and it will be communicated, dot communicated. All right, so we should have noticed that. You'll need a key. This all began with a lottery, a game of chance, and like all games, there's a winner. And like chance, sometimes the win carries more weight, more consequence than usual, and that's the key, isn't it? To hit the big one, the one that changes the course of a life, only for that life to change the course of countless other lives. Jackpot. Do not be afraid, for I will not leave you alone, alone, alone. I will not leave you. I mean, alone, alone, alone is very odd. But is that related to the key? It all began with a lottery, a game of chance. Like all games, there's a winner. Sometimes the win carries more weight, more consequence. That's the key, isn't it? To hit the big one. I mean, I don't think so, but it could be the big one, O-N-E. No. Just regular O-N-E. O-N-E. Let me see if the chat has any ideas. Try alone 3 times. Yeah, we could try it. I don't know why I don't know why alone with spaces. No. The thing is, it would be odd for that to be alone with no spaces. No. I mean, it would be odd because the whole sentence about the key is here. The alone part is not for till later. Feels like the key has to be here somehow. Began with a lottery, a game of chance. There's a winner. Like chance, sometimes the win carries more weight. more consequence than usual. And that's the key, isn't it? To hit the big one, the one that changes the course of a life. I guess we have another odd textual entry that this jackpot is lowercased. Oh no, it's not. It is uppercased. It's just a weird uppercase. Is there any other weird formatting in this text that we should be aware of? Life will be calm, but you'll need a key. This all began with a lottery, a game of chance. Weight or consequences? I mean, surely it's not just some random word here. But I suppose he says, and that's the key, isn't it? You could, I mean, like, you could say, okay, is he saying usual and that's the key? This seems like we're barking up the wrong tree here, but I will try the things that the channel wanted. We already tried lottery. If I try usual, no. And you wanted me to try consequence, no. You wanted me to try consequences, no. You wanted me to try weight, no. Is there something that happened to us where we had a winner picked and where the key is the winner? Did someone get picked? Like, we know that Alexander got picked to be the thing. Alexander or capital Alexander? No. Then we had this thing about the amplifier. Trying to think if there was a box where someone was, if in an earlier box, whether there was a winner. Lottery, is there any sense in which one of our items here talks about a winner or a lottery? Or anything in here talking about jackpot, winner, lottery? Not really. The sacrifice ritual was a lottery. It wasn't really a lottery, though. Could it just be jackpot? I tried jackpot. It really wasn't a lottery that picked the winner, though. I'm going to put in jackpot. Actually, let me try putting in jackpot with a capital J. I'm not sure I did that. Jackpot. No. It wasn't really a lottery that picked the person that got killed. We did have we did have those cards that talked about something, but I think we're gonna have to go to the hints. I don't think, unless someone can come up with something, I think we're gonna have to go get a reveal. Letter from Daniel, reveal 2. This is gonna be it. Radiant Mountain now serves as the organization's website. However, a key or password is needed. One key to the new regime is their slogan. Twilight Age is the password. Really, guys? Really? Okay. I'm not even going to be mad about this. It's something that's been consistent throughout this game. This is just one of these things that it feels like the only way to solve this is to have a bunch of people trying everything they can think of. There's no reason why it should be Twilight Age as opposed to something else or anything. So that's just bizarre. Also, they would have been better off giving us a more gradated hint there. But okay, let's not worry about that. Twilight Age. What does that have to do with... What does that have to do with this? You need a key. Began with a lottery, a game of chance. Like all games, there's a winner. And like chance, sometimes the win carries more weight, more consequence. And that's the key, isn't it? To hit the big one, the one that changes the course of a life. Only for that life to change the course of countless others. Jackpot. How do you go from that to the key being Twilight Age? That makes no sense. That's all right. And Wayne says, in all fairness, the sentence specifically said that the Twilight Age would be communicated. Is that right? That's not the right way it's capitalized, but okay, let me see here. The Twilight Age will be communicated to the world, but you'll need a key. No, I'm sorry. I don't really agree with that being fair. First of all, the password is Twilight Age with no space in between it, but the idea that this is the password to something where right after that it says you are going to need a key, that's the key, isn't it? No, that seems insanely unfair to me. Doesn't matter. Not important. When we come back, we will put in the key to the password and we will see what the new website shows. I'll see you in 8 minutes. Here we are, ready to go into the website with the password Twilight Age from the hints. Now, what have we got here? This is the new Radiant Mountain website, embrace the Twilight Age with their new logo with the lightning. Our mission. As we enter the Twilight Age, the Radiant Mountain has refocused our worship upon a new incarnation of that which has many names. This name, one of the only known utterances in an arcane ancient language, is believed to be pronounced Arwen. May you recite it with joy and trembling and welcome the truth into your heart. So here's another mention of Arwen, the spirit that we first encountered in the woods. Arwen. So there's our A. This is an R. Here's another A. That's a W. That's an N. It's that evil spirit again, but it's the spirit has many names. Arwen is just one of them. Our ascension. Whoa, they're getting information from the static. It's all through the static of the TV. Oh, this is creepy. Are they killing someone here? Like, that's the sacrificial knife. And this looks like Thomas. Right? And then who is this? This is supposed to be me? Oh, they're killing now they're killing the previous guy. This was the old Raven, remember? And here's Thomas, the new one. Looks like there might be information in here, but not really. That's Thomas, the new Raven. Not killing, ascending. They're ascending him, not killing him. You think so? Can kind of see what looks like there might be stuff in there, but not really. Creepy. And here we are back again. I don't feel like this is a message. I feel like it's just for us to look at. Maybe if I rotate it, you can see it better. All right, let's start back here. This was where we started. I think they're just showing how they get their information from the electricity floating through the air. There's the woods. Some creepy jars. Don't seem to mean anything. It's nothing, no place to click on to do anything. I don't know who this person is that they're ascending, but this is certainly this guy. I think they're taking his mask, like he's giving up his old mask here. And he's taking the other one. There's no text in here, is there, that we can read? Not that I can see. Now he's taken over the role of Raven. I don't see anything we can do here. There's no sound. It's definitely a Raven mask. And then here we are here. Okay, is there writing in the upper right corner of the television set? Not that I can see. I think it's just for flavor. And that seems to be it. 101. Now remember, we saw some writing here. I think it's just a version of this writing, but we don't know enough about this alphabet. This is the ARAWN though. This is Arwen, which is this bad spirit. This matches this. The spirit from the woods is now in the finale of The Mountain. Check the actual slide with the television in it. Okay. When you say check the actual slide with the television, I suppose you're trying to say you want this one. Is there text in the upper right? Not really. It's just showing how they're going to ascend with help from the media. All right, so I think that's all there is to see here. It's just a fun little ending. If we click this, it's just going to reload it. None of these are clickable. This is clickable. Just gives us a close-up of Arwen. Suppose if you knew the rest of the text, you could figure out some of this. Nothing else to do here. I think that's it. Okay, let's go to the solution recap. See if there's anything we missed here. So we did the voice strip. We did everything. So that's it. There's no, at least on this page, map mural. Oh, maybe there is. Mural, huh? But there's no... No, the mural was just the depiction of the Radiant Mountain relic. None of the symbols on the mural can be translated. More information can be found on the website. So that's where we know his name is Arwen. That's how we know this guy's name is Arwen here. We've noticed that it's the same as what they told us is Arwen. Okay, and then if we ask for hints on the map, what do we get told? The letter from Charlottesville refers to elements of this map. The map features other sects of the Radiant Mountain. This shows there are Radiant Mountain sanctuaries all over the world. When taken into a dark room, certain parts of the map will glow. Okay, we already saw that. So it seems like we're done except for the final meditation. Unless Elaine thinks that there's something else, but not according to this recap. There's nothing else. There is a loyalty quiz reveal. This seems to say there's a loyalty quiz, but I think this is the loyalty quiz solution to the previous box. Maybe they changed when you got each loyalty quiz, because we noticed in the previous box recap, the loyalty quiz answers were missing, were duplicated from the one before. Okay, I think it's time for us to listen to the final meditation then. Okay, so here's our website. I do note, interestingly enough, it is radiantmountain.com. So let's go to our radiantmountain.com. Twilight meditation. And we're told that the password is revival. John says, can we check on the double check on the third part? We can check, yes, but I think we should do this first in case it gives us some clues about this. All right, here we go. The Twilight meditation on a black background. Are we ready for this? Okay, get your headphones in. Here we go. 11 minutes.
Hello, listeners, and welcome to the meditation workshop of Raven Thomas. My name is Rachel, and I will be your guide
back
today. Raven Thomas would like for you to be well prepared. Raven Thomas would like for you to be loved. Raven Thomas would like for you to know the truth of all things. For the next few minutes, put aside all that is stressful in your life and clear your mind. Relax and put on your visual deprivation mask now.
I'm not going to do
Remember
it.
to take slow, deep
It's too scary.
breaths. You are in a warm, dark cave. You hear the dripping of rain outside. Drip, drip, drip. You see flashes of light from the sky and hear the rolling of its thunder. The squirrel watches you from the back of the cave. The cave seems deeper than before. The squirrel beckons you to follow. The squirrel knows the way. As you reach the back of the cave, you can feel the stone grow colder. You know that you are on the right path. The path calls out to you. The darkness beyond stretches and calls you. You are about to hear a series of short phrases. When you hear me say, "Now respond," you will respond to each phrase with, "I am yours." I will do the first sequence with you. Remember to smile and feel loved.
I'm not doing it.
Now respond. You must follow. I am yours. You will not resist the calling. I am yours. You will be embraced. I am yours. Good. Now, you are deep within the cave, crawling further and further from the mountain. You see a blue light ahead of you, penetrating the darkness. Roots both large and small are breaking through the walls of the rock. The roots are connected. The roots are everything and everywhere. The roots are charged with blue, pulsing ribbons guiding your way. The roots love you. The tunnel narrows and the roots grow thick. You must crawl over the roots. You can feel the tingle of static beneath your fingertips. It feels warm. It feels good. Now respond. You will know peace. You will know happiness. You will know freedom. Good. Now, you follow the glowing roots down a series of tunnels. Left, then right, then left, then right again. Sometimes you circle back to the beginning. You must try again and again. You must keep going. To be lost is to fail, and you will not fail. The roots guide you. The labyrinth twists and turns. The mountain is testing you. Far into the distance, you hear the echoing chatter of the squirrel. Listen closely and follow its voice. Now respond. You will follow the path. You will find the center. You will find me. Good. Now the roots grow thicker still. The roots consume the energy within the mountain. You imagine the roots spreading out from the mountain and across the land, touching every living thing with its love and wisdom. The powerful blue ribbons of static coursing through the roots and into your body intensifies. It is hard work, but it is good, for you know you are almost there. You know you are close to the tree of knowledge. You know the truth will soon be revealed to you.
What happened?
Now, respond. The truth will be revealed.
Please
My
reveal
name
me
will be
now.
revealed.
Standing
You will
up
know my
one
name
way.
is. Good. Now, you have reached a large cavern. The roots twist and tangle up into the high cavern ceiling. The roots are branching, entangling, intertwining and knotting in the pattern of lightning. You are just below the tree of knowledge, at the peak of the mountain. You can hear the peal of thunder outside from above you. The walls of the cavern are dotted in shadows. You can see the shadows slowly moving. The mountain is alive. The mountain loves you. Before you lies the squirrel which guided you through the mountain labyrinth.
We're gonna kill the
It
squirrel.
is still as a stone. The squirrel has no eyes. The squirrel is empty.
Hmm.
The squirrel
Squirrel's
is
dead.
happy. The squirrel is free. Now respond. I
Nope.
am emptiness. I am all that is. I am all that will ever be. Good. Now, the walls begin to move around you. Hundreds of ravens flutter in black swarms, swirling round like a storm. You are in the eye of that storm. You are special. You are loved because of your sacrifice. These ravens are the ravens of old. They are our past. They are our history, our ancient lore. One raven approaches the squirrel. This is the raven of your future. This is the raven that will guide you to the truth. The raven picks at the flesh of the squirrel. Nothing is left behind. Nothing is wasted. The raven's eyes are deep and forever. You lay yourself before the raven. You lay yourself beneath the tree.
Hmm.
The roots above you twist and writhe in maze-like patterns. The tree loves you. Now, respond.
Nope.
I am the tree that loves you. I am the lightning that blinds you. I am the darkness that becomes you. Good. Now, the raven sits atop your chest as you lay on the ground, mesmerized by the twitching tree roots. The roots twist round and round in ever-forming knots. The roots stretch on forever. You offer your eyes to the raven. This is what you must do. This is your sacrifice for infinite wisdom. The raven takes your eyes. You love the raven. You are happy that the raven is happy. You hear the crush of your eyes in its beak. There is only darkness. You look up towards the tree of knowledge without seeing. You can now know what it knows. You will now be empty. You will forever be happy. You are now free. Now respond. You are
Now
mine.
Howie.
Nope.
You are
Now
mine.
Howie.
You are
Now
mine.
Howie. Now Howie. Now Howie. Now Howie. Now Howie. Now Howie. Now Howie.
Thank you for listening to Radiant Mountains Meditative Recording. Raven Thomas wishes you to have a wonderful, joyous, and productive day.
Creepy. Okay, that's pretty creepy. So we offered ourselves up as a sacrifice to the raven and the mountain. And that creature was saying a lot of things, that spirit voiced a lot of things in reverse. There's no explanation for that on the official page, but we can try to go to the third-party page, which we know was the killer investigation, in case we're curious. Okay, so we've now finished the game, had the final experience. Let's see if there's anything to be seen in the final box here of this third-party site. Research notes are written in code. We got all that. Letter from Charlotte. This is some commentary here by other players here. Charlotte has instructs us on how to use the token of ash, which we use. The older order has been burned away. Does this mean they burned Raven Welgum? It would be funny if they had, and the token of ash is his burned ashes. I think that is what it was. It's her duty to stoke the fire. Flame purifies all. Sister Sanctuaries. Letter from Daniel. Periods, life, and communicated. Sentence between the two periods reads, life will no longer be and the twilight age will be. In final paragraph, Daniel repeats the word alone 3 times. We don't know why that is. Then there's a map. apparently if you go into a room, only 7 and 9 will glow. I don't think that's quite right. Notice it's these point where all the lines intersect. That's what we noticed as well. The front is very hard to read with the overlapping rays, but I told you what I thought it meant. This cult's been around 1893. Da da da. Token of ash. We're supposed to wash ourselves. We did that. Pamphlet. Voice strip. How to use it. The voice can be heard. Then here's the comment by the author of this site saying I couldn't get it to work. It says I'll be seeing you. Okay, let's see. Someone says, I think that the voice says, I am the darkness, but I can't understand anything else the garbled voice is saying except towards the end. I think it was just repeating what Rachel was saying, but you could always play it backwards and try to catch it. I'm glad I didn't put on that eye mask because that would have been a little too creepy. All right, we have finished playing the mountain. If we're ready, what we'll do is we'll take a little 5-minute break, then we'll come back, and remember, we'll do this new system where I'm going to just give a spoiler-free review for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, and then we'll discuss it. I am very curious to hear your thoughts about the game if you have joined me for it. So we're going to take our 5-minute break, then we're going to come back and we're going to listen to me give some final thoughts, and then I want to hear your final thoughts. All right, let's take our 5-minute break. We'll come back and we'll talk about it. We've just finished playing The Mountain, which is Empty Faces Season 2, from a game that is most recently released by Hunt a Killer, but we think originally written probably back in 2019 or so. As of December 2025, this game is being retired. It has a substantial internet component, and those internet websites are going to be discontinued and left to disappear. So this game may not be playable for very much longer. We've done our best to record a full playthrough of the entire experience. 5 boxes, taken us maybe 15 to 20 hours to play through. I'm going to talk now about the experience. I'm going to give you a spoiler-free summary review of the experience, although I'm not sure how this is going to be useful since you probably won't be able to play this. I do think overall this was a very satisfying, enjoyable experience, on par with Season 1, The Woods, which we also played and reviewed. I would say that the connection with The Woods was actually much stronger than I feared it would be. I thought maybe that these were going to be 2 independent games with just a nod towards a connection, but actually it was much richer connection between the 2 seasons. This was sort of like looking at the other side of the coin of the stuff we saw in Season 1, The Woods, and Season 1 was sort of a small story. This was a much larger conspiracy story. This story, revolving around what looks to be a cult called the Radiant Mountain, was very creepy. And I think that's a genre of game that most of us here on this channel really like. There's some supernatural element, but some human psychology element, and that sort of mixture, when done well, and with this looming fear and threat, is done well. Really, it's told very well here. Like, there is an art to telling a story in a slow building, methodical way that gives you this creepy feeling. And I do think they did that perfectly here. In both seasons, the strong point for me, you could say the story in general, but I think the really strong part of this is the world building. Like, there is a supernatural, creepy world, the world of this cult, and then the larger world of this universe where there are these supernatural things going on, is told remarkably well, and it feels real. Like, there are lots of little details. And these are amazing. These books that get brought out during the course just create the illusion that this is all real stuff. This is like a real organization, real people, but an alternate world where things are scary. And I think we also see here the real strength. This is sort of playing to the strength of a long-form story. It does something you can't do in a single 2-hour experience, which is just gradually build this world and build this pace of slowly tension ratcheting up and feeling like you can tell these things in a way that at the beginning you're like, that's a little weird, that's a little creepy. And then by the time you get to the end, you're like, oh my God, this whole place is out of control and dangerous. So these are all things this game does very well. And I would say another thing that is done very well here, and was also done well in The Woods, was the involvement of the player as sort of an active participant. It's interesting that it's done very differently in The Woods versus The Mountain, but similarly, it's not a cold case. It's not like, here's a story in the past you're trying to uncover. It's more like you're involved. From the letter one, we're bringing you in. I don't know that it was done perfectly here. Like our first letter, we were like, how did we get this letter? What are we supposed to do? But it did try to involve us. And similarly, at the end, there seemed to be some sort of cross messages about where we fit in here. I think maybe that could have been done a little bit better. But I do think, and maybe this is something that Hunt a Killer does consistently well, which is don't just tell a cold case, tell a case in which the player is pulled right into the current action. Curtain Call did that also. One of my favorite experiences did that too in a slightly different way. So those are all the positive things. Now, where does this thing have problems? Well, it does have problems, and the problems are all involving the puzzles, the solving of things. And it's very similar in that respect to The Woods, in that the puzzles are frequently terrible. And they're terrible for a set of reasons that seem to be part of a bigger picture of ways that Hunt a Killer has gone wrong. I have a history with Hunt a Killer. I started out with real complaints about the sort of design philosophy of puzzles of Hunt a Killer, and then I got sort of convinced that they've changed their ways and gotten better, and now we're playing some older games from them, and I can see now part of the stuff I really disliked about the design philosophy of Hunt a Killer puzzles. And I've talked about through our playthrough often some of the ways these puzzles have gone wrong. So I'm just going to summarize a little bit. I think the first two boxes were actually reasonable. We had some encrypted messages that we were able to decrypt fairly easily. But I think Hunt a Killer, at least in this set, commits a whole series of sins in terms of puzzle design. And maybe a way to sort of put a broader arch, an umbrella onto what's gone wrong with these puzzles is they feel like they are much, much too unnecessarily difficult, and difficult in all the wrong ways. So, for example, we frequently get puzzles where it wants something in a specific case. Like we got one puzzle where you put the right answer in, all lowercase, it's wrong. All uppercase, which is what you see on the sort of solution, wrong. But if you uppercase the first letter and lowercase the last letters, then you're right. And no suggestion of how you're wrong. And then we got a whole bunch of puzzles where when we stumbled on the solution, it didn't look like a solution. It was like an arbitrary non-word. And not only was that the right answer, but they wanted you to figure out that you should put it in manually put it into a URL as a page. just inexcusably bad things. Frequently, and this is a minor sin compared to the others, frequently we got puzzles where it could have been one of 10 different answers, 20 answers. There's no reason to prefer one over the other, but you have to convince yourself to just guess through those 10 or 20 until you stumble on the right one. That's the least of the problems. That you should not design a puzzle that way, but that was the least of their flaws. There were also, in both games, situations where we had locked items on a forum, for example, locked items that we could figure out a password for eventually, typically by just seeing an exact phrase somewhere and then being like, okay, we finally found the phrase to unlock the password. But then a whole bunch of additionally locked elements that look like you can put in the password to get into it, but really are just there as decoys to make it more confusing as to what you should tackle next. That's another problem with all of these cases that we're seeing, all of these boxes, is that there are so many different things that you could potentially work on next and no clue as to which one to work on. And because stuff is so obscure, you really could be that you saw the answer to any of these, that you sort of don't know what you're supposed to do next. And frequently, the box doesn't give you much guideline about when you're ready to proceed to the next box. Now, I do give them credit for having this new system where you're supposed to answer this quiz to progress. That does help. The first two quizzes were kind of fun and easy. And then the last quizzes, we just completely gave up trying to answer them correctly. It was 10 questions. Each one had 4 choices. They were very obscure. Most of them, if you wanted to get it right, you'd have to just scour material, reading over and over stuff for no reason other than to catch one line that might have been a reference to the answer. I think even if so, there were a couple questions that seemed completely unreasonable. You answer these 10 multiple choice questions, and then at the end, you get told, you made a mistake somewhere. Now you go figure out where you made that mistake from those 10 multiple choice answers. It's another example of making the game unnecessarily, brutally hard for no purpose. And I think, last comment on this, it's not just that these puzzles are unfairly difficult, it's that from a design philosophy, you've got this story which relies on pacing to work, and you've completely interrupted the pacing of the storytelling. And I think that's a really important lesson for designers to learn. Like you make your game, you want it to be, let's say you want it to be hard. You want it to be difficult. You still have to worry about players if throughout the story, at odd moments, at unpredictable moments, grind to a halt for an hour or days or weeks, because they're interrupted from the story to try to solve this obscure puzzle, which often, when we solve them, revealed nothing. It was like, oh, here's this one-line message that was just for creepiness. Well, by the time we've decoded it and been frustrated, we forget what was creepy about it. It takes us completely out of the game. So I do think this is a lesson for you. If you're writing a game that is so reliant or so focused on telling a good story, especially if you have the storytelling chops that these games do, I think you have to make an effort to put the puzzles at the end points. Like, play the whole box, get the whole creepy story. Then if you wanted to stick the players with a puzzle that was going to take them 2 days to solve, that's okay, because they've gone through the story part of the box and now they're here. But you can't just throw these impossible puzzles randomly around because it takes the players completely out of the story. You're better off not having these insanely bad puzzles, but otherwise you have to have story and then at the end puzzle. Or take a look at a company that does this kind of thing well, like Deadbolt Mystery Society. Here, we would work for an hour or two on a very hard puzzle, and when we solve it, we get some one sentence that's creepy. If you look at a company that's better at this, you'll see something like Deadbolt Mystery Society, where you get story, then you finish the story, and you get puzzle. And when you unlock the puzzle, you unlock another big chunk of story that brings you back into the story enjoyment. You don't work for 2 hours to get one line that has nothing to do with anything. All right. The last thing maybe to say as part of this spoiler-free thing is to talk about where these games rank. And I'm not sure I have a good answer for you. We're going to talk in a minute with the other people who've played this game with me live and get their thoughts. I guess if I was giving advice to someone playing this, and I do think they should remake these games. This story is so good, the material is so good, that they should remake these games and just cut down the puzzles to a minimal and just have them more easily, explicitly resolved, explained. But I liked both The Woods and The Mountain. I think they're both very strong stories. I think if you like one, you're probably going to like the other. You should clearly play The Woods first, because it's a very minor item, but it's clear that, well, I think it's clear that the second one references the first one a little, but you should play them both. If you played them in the opposite order, I think you'd still get mostly the same enjoyment. Does make sense, though. Play The Woods and then play The Mountain, although you can't play them as of the end of this month. But I think they're both good, and there is a third season that we're going to play very soon called The Mine. Elaine says, who sent me these copies to play, says The Mountain was her favorite. I can understand why. The props are great here. The multimedia stuff, the time taken to record these long meditations that you listen to, very much convey a creepy atmosphere. If you're looking for story, creepy atmosphere, supernatural, these are good boxes. Go right to the hints. As soon as you get stuck on a puzzle, go right to the hints, because you're never going to solve this on your own. Maybe the designers intended for groups of people to just struggle and struggle for days until they share that one of them tried this random password and it worked. All right, that was my spoiler-free review of The Mountain. Now let's check in with the chat and see what everyone else thought about it. Anna says, it was a spooky premise. I liked box set 1 better. Anna liked The Woods better, where we could help. Okay, no, you're giving away spoilers. You should not be doing that, but all right. I guess this is a spoiler section for us. And if you're playing that's what I should say. This is the spoiler section for this review. And we're going to assume that you've played The Woods first. But anyway, Anna's saying she liked the storytelling. Not the storytelling. She liked the story where we could sort of get a semi-happy ending. This one, there's no happy ending in this one. The Mountain is a very grim, unpleasant, driven to madness type thing. Elaine says, I wonder, is the order of events, did Daniel decide to overthrow the Raven because of his son's death? I do think that if you look at the story of this one, it feels like Daniel was so unhappy with his son being picked that motivated him strongly. Or did the previous Raven choose the son for sacrifice to punish Daniel? I thought that too. I did think that the Raven felt like Daniel wasn't to be trusted, and so he killed his son. And it says, Jesse's right. Trial and error type puzzle solving is very dated, not fun at all. Component story content was rich. Logan says, I'm a little more than an hour behind. I know this season is already done. Here's my problem. When a puzzle is not so based in logic presented, I lose suspension of disbelief. That happened to me last box. I found it hard to care since then. Yeah, I think that's right. Well, this gets to some part of my point about it's not just that the puzzle is bad, it's that it's coming smack in the middle of story. And by the time you solve it, especially if the reward for solving it doesn't advance the story in any way, then you have to sort of force yourself to get back in the mood of story. And that's a real mistake. Perry says the ending was a bit anticlimactic. However, the story is really good. I think you could say that of both games, and I think that is an interesting observation. Both The Woods and The Mountain, the ending was just a little bit anticlimactic. Here it was quite creepy, although as Elaine was the one who made us save the meditation to last, if we hadn't done that, it would have been even more anticlimactic. I do think it's true that in terms of storytelling, it was almost all good, but the endings left a little bit to be desired. Thorpe says, remake these with modern puzzle technology, or just go light on the puzzle. I think that's right. Logan says, the story was so good. They're great with the world and narrative. I agree that they are really good at world building. They are really good at world building. Amato says, I preferred the Woods story to this one. However, this one had an interesting story. It was a little bit more choppy. Dorp says, I feel like their older monthly seasons were designed for solo or couples. I can't imagine groups, numerous play sessions this long. I don't know if I agree with that. I do feel like maybe their intention for these games was to make them so hard and obscure that people had to solve these as a group, like collectively online, had to share what they figured out. John says, I'm glad they incorporated physical rituals into the boxes. I'm not sure they did that as much in the first two, but the physical ritual immersion seems like a unique feature of this series. That is a very good observation. Frequently, we get props in these hunt-to-killer games, and they seem like just throwaways. This one, they did something very clever. They said, we're going to give you all these weird props, and we're going to create a world where you're constantly having to use these props to do rituals. Now, they have no real effect, but they do make you... from a world-building standpoint, they have an effect. They don't have a puzzle effect, but they do help you buy into this world of supernatural rituals. That was pretty cool. How about this for a spoiler weird thing? In the first box, we got this bracelet of colors that you use a black light to shine different colors. No use. Totally irrelevant to anything. That's very weird. There are some weird choices going on here, but they don't half these props they didn't need. But I do agree that all of the props that were used in rituals, like lighting the candle and burning certain things and doing certain things, those are good examples of things that aren't needed to solve puzzles, but be in a supernatural world. To use them as rituals does give you buy-in to this world, weird supernatural world. And let's see. Amato says the puzzles were better in this one than the ones in the Woods. Yeah, especially in the beginning. Logan says, I enjoyed it. I hope season 3 has learned from the rest. I'm not sure it has, but we will be playing it. In fact, we're going to be playing it starting on Thursday. Jonathan says there should have been more of a final puzzle in this box, like in the Woods. But it should be simpler. I agree with that. Anna says, I agree. In this last box, there wasn't really a final puzzle or big reveal, hence the anticlimactic ending, I think the puzzles for the second series started out better than the puzzles in season 1, but sort of lost itself around box 2. Yes, I agree with that too. The first 2 boxes we played of this, it felt like, oh, they are starting to find their footing in terms of puzzles. Perry says, why did Rachel get sick for that one meditation? I think Rachel was getting hollowed out and used by the spirit, and then when the spirit sort of properly got into her, then she was fine and fully turned evil by the last one. That was a very cool moment when Rachel was removed from giving the meditations. I do think that this whole series is not for people that want everything wrapped up in a bow. This is more suited for people who are like, there are things that are unexplained, but it's such a creepy, weird demon spirit world that some things are never going to be explained. Like, yeah, what did happen to Rachel? Like, what does this spirit really want? Even our role in this cult never got fully resolved. You have to sort of, with this series at least, be content not to have everything explained. Using all the props would have really amped the immersion for the finale. I think so. Yeah. I mean, I thought it was mainly good. There were a lot of things that weren't fully used, but again, some of the more elaborate stuff really did make the world building, make this feel like a real creepy world. You could imagine making additional content for this game using these same materials. Like there's enough materials here to make 2 or 3 series out of each set. All right, well, I really did enjoy it. I don't know, maybe when we're done with December, we'll talk more about whether this idea of sort of speed running these was the right thing to do. How would you compare this to the intent of Root of All Evil? I think if you look at Root of All Evil and you look at The Messenger, I mean, The Messenger is a good way to make a hard puzzle game satisfying in terms of storytelling. They are all these witchcraft things that all have a similar vibe. I would say that The Woods and the Mountain are below The Messenger and Root of All Evil in terms of a total satisfying package. But that's not to say there's not a lot of cool stuff here, a lot of cool storytelling. I am very curious to see what the mine has in store and very interested in continuing this world. You could almost make the case that Blair Witch might be tangentially related to this. And if you do that, then you've got a 5-season set, right? Like The Woods, The Mountain, The Mine, Blair Witch 2. If you like supernatural stuff, you've got a lot of content here. All right. Thank you, everyone, for joining me. We're going to start playing The Mine on Thursday evening at 10 p.m. in a few days. Everyone take a recovery from this. If you watch this after the fact, I'd love to read your comments, especially if you played this game when it originally came out. I would love to hear your thoughts on it. I'll see you next time.